your blankie or your pillow? Do you have your jammies on? Are you ready for a story? Yes, I know I am. Ooh, and I bet you guys are also wanting to know who won the contest from yesterday. I have the names of the winners right here in this cup. But I think we're going to wait until after the story. No! Yes, we're going to wait until after the story and then we will pick the winner. Thank you guys for the pictures that you drew and that you posted to the page. They were so pretty. I am so impressed. You guys are some pretty good artists. I was like, whoa, these are some really nice pictures. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to pick a winner and send you out a prize. So let's see. What story are we reading tonight? The Adventures of Tom Thumb. I wonder what's this about. Let's see. See the picture? Let's see what this is about. You ready? I'm ready. The Adventures of Tom Thumb. In the days of King Arthur, when people believed in magic, there lived a wonderful magician named Merlin. He could change himself into any shape and do almost anything he set his mind to. One day, he happened to be traveling through the kingdom disguised as a beggar. Around supper time, he came to a cottage that belonged to a poor woodsman, so he knocked on the door and asked for something to eat. The woodsman's wife gave him a thick slice of bread and some hot soup. Merlin noticed that the cottage was clean and bright, but for some reason the woodsman and his wife did not seem very happy. Finally, the magician asked them why they were so sad. "I wish we had a child," sighed the woman. "Even if he was no larger than my husband's thumb, we would love him dearly." Merlin chuckled at the thought of such a tiny child. In fact, it pleased him so much that he decided to make the woman's wish come true. A short time later, the woodsman's wife had a baby who was no bigger than her husband's thumb. The Queen of Fairies came to visit the baby, for never had there been a child so small. She kissed him and named him Tom Thumb because of his size. Then the other fairies set about making special clothes for him. Tom never grew any bigger than his father's thumb, but he did grow up to be a very clever fellow who was full of tricks. When he was old enough to go out and play, Tom sometimes lost the marbles he owned. Then he would creep into his friends' marble bags, stuff his pockets with their marbles, and return to the game. But one day he was caught in the act, and the other boy quickly pulled the string to close the top of the bag. Poor Tom Thumb bounced around inside and was so badly bruised that he promised never to steal anything else as long as he lived. A short time later, Tom's curiosity almost did him in. His mother was making some pudding and Tom wanted to watch, so he climbed to the edge of the pot and leaned over. But he leaned a bit too far and he fell in. His mother did not see him and stirred him around with the spoon. Tom sputtered and squirmed so much that it looked as if the pudding was bewitched. his mother took the pot of pudding and threw it out the door. Now, as it happened, a beggar was passing by when the pudding came flying out the door. He picked it up and walked off with it. But by this time, Tom had gotten the pudding out of his mouth and was able to cry out at the top of his lungs, "Help!" This frightened the beggar so much that he dropped the pot and ran for his life. Tom wiggled free and walked home covered with pudding. His mother gave him a kiss, washed him off in a cup of water, and tucked him into bed to rest. Shortly after that, Tom's mother went out to milk the cow, and she brought Tom along. The wind was blowing briskly through the meadow, and Tom's mother was afraid he might be blown away. So she took out a piece of thread and tied him to a thistle. This was a fine idea, except that the cow happened to look down and see Tom's oak leaf hat. In a single mouthful, the cow took Tom up and the thistle and began to chew it. Tom scrambled about trying to keep away from the cow's teeth. "Mother! Mother!" he cried. Tom's mother looked around to see what the trouble was, but of course she could not find Tom. "Where are you, Tommy?" she cried, and Tom wasted no time in telling her that he was inside the cow's mouth. By this time, the cow had begun to wonder what was going on inside, so she opened her mouth wide and let Tom drop out. Tom's mother quickly held out her apron and caught Tom before he hit the ground. After that, she was a bit more careful where she took her tiny son. One day, a raven swooped down and picked Tom up, then flew off with him. When they were far out over the sea, the raven let Tom go and he fell down into the ocean. That would have been the end of the boy, except that he was swallowed by a huge fish. The fish was caught a moment later and taken to the kitchen to be cooked for King Arthur's dinner. You can imagine the cook's astonishment when he opened up the fish and Tom jumped out. Tom was brought directly to the king, for no one had ever seen a boy as small as a man's thumb. He quickly became a favorite in the court, where he amused the king and queen and brought laughter to the knights of the Round Table. When King Arthur went riding on his horse, Tom often went along with him. Together they would ride through the countryside, visiting different parts of the kingdom. If they were away from the castle and it happened to rain, Tom crept into the king's pocket where it was dry. One day, King Arthur sent for Tom and asked about his family. He wanted to know if Tom's parents were the same size as Tom and if they were wealthy or poor. Tom replied that his mother and father were the same size as any of the members of the king's court and that they did not have much money at all. King Arthur immediately took Tom to the royal treasury where he kept all his money. See all the gold?
"You may take as much home to your parents as you can carry,"
said the king. Tom was delighted. He found a purse and put 1 gold coin in it. That was all he could carry. After a great many tries, he managed to get the purse up and onto his back, but it was so heavy that he had to stop and rest 4 times every hour. He traveled for 2 full days before he finally reached his parents' home. He was so exhausted that his mother brought him inside and put him to bed. But the following day, Tom was back at the court. King Arthur ordered a new suit of clothes to be made for Tom. They were made out of butterfly wings, and they were very dashing. Instead of a sword, Tom had a needle hanging at his side, and instead of a horse, he rode on the back of a mouse. Whenever he went hunting with the king, Tom was a merry sight to see. The king was so fond of Tom that he had a tiny palace built just for him. It was made out of gold, and the doors were scarcely an inch wide. The furniture inside was just the right size for Tom, who lived in the golden palace quite comfortably. The king also gave him a tiny coach that was drawn by 6 white mice. This made it easy for Tom to visit his parents whenever he wished. And so he lived a long and happy life, even though he was no bigger than his father's thumb. Could you imagine being that tiny, just as big as a thumb? That would be so hard. But Tom had a pretty good life, right? To be this big, that's pretty nice. This big. Well, oh, I liked that story. Did you guys like that one? Yes? Nice! I liked it too, and I'm so glad you're here. So I was able to read you a bedtime story. I really enjoyed it, and I will see you guys all again tomorrow. Good night. Good night. Oh, what? A prize contest. Oh, you're right. The contest. You want to know who won the contest? I forgot. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready?
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's see. I'm going to shake it up. And I'm going to take the lid off. Can you hear the names in there? I'm going to close my eyes and pull out a name. Whose name is this? Let's see. Nah, maybe you guys don't want a prize. Do you want a prize? Nah. Okay. Let's do it. I'm not even going to look. It's going to show backwards, but let's see if we can see what this name says. Amari! Yay! Can everybody clap and congratulate Amari for being our winner? Yay! Congratulations, Amari! Woohoo! You get a prize! Oh, I'm so excited! Everyone say congratulations to Amari! Hi, Amari! You won! So, Amari is going to get her prize. I will send it off tomorrow, and you should receive a surprise in the mail in a couple of days. Amari's mom or dad, if you're watching, if you could please send me a message and send me your address so I can mail you Amari's prize. That would be awesome. I will get it out tomorrow, I promise. And like I said, we are going to have prizes every day this week. Yes, we had our first winner. Our winner for Monday was Lauren Green. Yay! And our winner for Tuesday is now Amari. And so today we are going to have another prize. We're going to have another contest. And we will announce the winner of the contest tomorrow at story time. So today's contest, this is what we need to do. Today's contest, I want you to send a picture to Pineapples and Butterflies. Well, it's not going to be a picture you draw this time. I'd like you to post a picture of your favorite book. Yes, do you have a favorite book? If you send me a picture of your favorite book, then I will enter your name into the drawing for the contest, and also I will try to get that book and read it. Doesn't that sound cool? I will read your favorite story. If you're the winner, then I will read your favorite story if I can find the book. I will try my hardest to find the book. If I can find it, I will read your favorite story and you will get a prize in the mail. So remember, everyone, as soon as you're able, upload a picture to Pineapples and Butterflies of your favorite book. And I will enter your names in for a drawing for tomorrow. And I'll announce the winner tomorrow after story time. Woo! Yay, Amari! All right, well, it's time for bed now. So we're going to have to say goodnight. But I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to seeing what your books are. And I'm looking forward to having another contest and seeing who the winner is. Yay! So I'll see you guys all tomorrow, okay? Good night. Oh, good night. Sweet dreams, everyone. Good night, Aiden. Good night, Amari. Congratulations. Good night, Ariana. Good night, Justin. Good night, Zanai and Maya. Good night, Emma. Good night, Kennedy and Israel. Good night, Morgan and Hunter. Good night, Navia. Good night, Nico and Justina. Good night, Malia. Good night, Harley and Danny and Harper. Good night, Analia and Brandon. Good night, Daniel. Good night, Xavier and Jason. Good night, Lauren. Good night, Demetrius and Harrison. Good night, Makai and Judah. Good night, Erilyn and Stevie and Gianni. Oh, good night, Raven and Prince and Isaac. Good night, Brooklyn and Xander and Zayden and Layla. Good night, you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Good night. Oh, and I'm so happy you're feeling better, Aiden. Oh, friends, say hi to Aiden. He's back. Good night, you guys. See you tomorrow.